The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Business Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericabusiness.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to The American Business Person with your host, Rich Killian. In this program, you'll find out what makes today's business people successful. And you'll also learn from mistakes they've made so you can avoid making the same, often costly mistakes. Now, here is your host, Rich Killian.
Good afternoon and welcome to The American Business Person. I'm your host, Rich Killian. Welcome to this afternoon's show. We have two guests. Our first guest is a call-in from Vanessa Troyer, who is the CEO and founder, along with her husband, of a mailbox company, which is actually pretty cool. We're going to talk about how niche of a product she actually has. Very, very small demographic out there for who her client is, but really capitalizes on it well. So this will be a great education piece for those that are in a really, really unique business out there, how to capitalize on it versus, the typical businesses out there, your real estate, your mortgage, your insurance, that is kind of overwhelmed with competition. So very interesting. Half of the show we'll hear from Vanessa here, and then second, we'll have a guest, Timur Halligan, and he is a executive director for Legal Shield, which is a very unique firm, and this is a very important segment you need to listen to as a business owner, especially if you're just starting out in business with legal protection that you just can't afford. Not many people can say, talk to my attorney or attorneys. Because you just can't afford that, but, especially just starting out. But again, we'll talk about their product and what they have to offer to the public, as well as business owners. And it's amazing what they offer for, as little of a fee that they do. So we'll hear that second half. In the meantime, let's take our first call from Vanessa Troyer.
Welcome to The American Business Person. Our special guest this afternoon is Vanessa Troyer. She's the CEO and founder of Architectural Mailboxes, which she started with her husband, Chris, in 2001. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rich. Happy to be here.
Hey, not a problem. Thanks for being on. Well, let's tell our listeners kind of a little bit about your background, how you got started with this, and how you got into the business in general.
Okay, well, I actually started out my career working in mailboxes, believe it or not. I worked in a family business that distributed mailboxes to the building industry, but they focused primarily on commercial, industrial buildings like offices, dormitories, high-rise condos. I ran that company for about 10 years, and then when the commercial market started slowing, the housing boom started picking up, like right around the early 90s, and we started focusing more on mailboxes for residential. And it was time to switch gears, and we decided at that point, as the housing continued to grow, we decided manufacturing mailboxes would make the most sense. But the first product we wanted to manufacture was due to a theft that occurred. We actually had a parcel stolen right off our front porch in 1999, and it had been ordered. It was a gift, actually, for my anniversary from my husband, and it was stolen right off our porch, and we decided that everybody was going to be shopping online someday, and they would need a receptacle for this at their home. So the first product we came up with was our elephant trunk parcel drop, and we showed it to several people and got different opinions, but everybody thought it was too soon, it was too large. They thought, where would I even put that? It was 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. The reason why we thought this size was ideal is in those days, everybody was buying computers. It was kind of the craze where people would say, one computer per home by the year 2010. Well, little do we know they were underestimating, weren't they?
Yep, absolutely.
But at that time, the big monitors that you had from Dell and Gateway were these giant, almost like TV boxes.
Right.
Well, during the development of the elephant trunk, the flat screen came out. And so we shelved that product and thought, well, people aren't ready. A lot of people were afraid to shop online, so we're going to make mailboxes that can receive parcels because people are ordering mail ordered through catalogs, and we'll focus on the post office. And that's what we did. That's how we started Architectural Mailboxes.
Interesting. Now, obviously for the people listening out there, you can go to architecturalmailboxes.com to check out these cool products. And like we talked about off the air, I was reading your website. I was kind of waiting for that story of you started this because you didn't like the fact that somebody kept hitting your mailbox with a baseball bat or something like that. You wanted to come out with a more sturdy mailbox, but it sounds like it's trying to fill a need, or it did fill a need for more security. So which is kind of interesting. So, are these just standard mailboxes? And I'm going to get into this, niche as to why. I really love the idea that you came out with a specific niche, and this is all you do. This is all you target, which is really that's really cool, actually, in a business sense. But are these things that you have the key to? Are these just normal mailboxes too? I mean, kind of give us the gamut here.
Well, we actually came out with what we felt was needed at the time, that the products that were available, the mailboxes that were available when we started this company, were very thin gauge. Most weren't locking, and we kept thinking, we live in Los Angeles. We're thinking people are getting their mail stolen. We're seeing identity theft stories on the news. We need to secure their mail because nobody's home when the mailman, this isn't the 60s where you were home when the guy rang the doorbell and handed you your mail. They are dropping it and they're going, and you get home 4 or 5 hours after they've been there. So we thought we better focus on security. And in addition to security, we thought it needs to be aesthetically pleasing because it's a curb appeal item. It's the first thing people see when they pull up to your house is your mailbox. And you'd be surprised how many beautiful homes you will pull up or drive by, and you look at their mailbox and you're thinking, wow, they spent all that money on that beautiful lawn and landscaping and stone driveway, and they've got this unsightly mailbox that, one, doesn't service the needs of today's mail or parcels, and two, is, doesn't add to the house. So we focused on security, locking, parcel receiving, and aesthetics. So we have both. We actually have non-locking mailboxes for those that live in communities that aren't concerned about mail theft. Let's say they live in a gated community. So the only people that are coming through the gates are welcomed people, not people just walking by the street. So that's how we focused our core, and we thought, we often use the analogy, if you remember, and I'm not sure how old you are, but when I was a kid, when you bought sunglasses, you went to Walgreens or Long's, and you paid $5 for a pair of sunglasses. Well, today, people spend hundreds of dollars on sunglasses because it became a fashion item. Well, this is a fashion item for your home. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And like I said, I'm looking at your website right now, again, architecturalmailboxes.com, and it's just really neat with all these different products, and they're kind of cool. I'm thinking about, wow, maybe I should pick one of these up for my house. I mean, it is, and it's nice. But so that brings me to the next question. How do you even get into a business like this and understand, I mean, what are the demographics? I mean, how many people manufacture mailboxes out there? This is something it's something you see and you kind of use every day, but, it's one of those things that people really, that's not the first thing on their mind as a business. That's what I think is so cool about this. How do you even start to research this? How do you know how many people would buy? How many sell mailboxes? What are your competitors? How'd you get started with the demographics?
Well, it is a very, very small market. Under $1 billion if you add up every single mailbox manufacturer. There's about 2 or 3 core mailbox manufacturers, us being one of them, and then there's a whole lot of other people that do it as a hobby where they'll make a few mailboxes of a flamingo or of a big giant fish, or you've seen the swordfish and all those,
Sure.
kind of like kitschy kind of things. But the people that are really focused on retail, meaning big box retail, selling through the Home Depots, the Lowe's, the Menards, and Ace and True Value, there's really only 2 or 3 of us. And the way we approached it was, how are your mailbox sales? And most of the time they'd say, well, not great. And then we would come in with, well, we believe people want more. They don't want it just to receive their mail. They want it to protect their mail, and they want it to be attractive and aesthetically pleasing. It's not just a utility item anymore. It's actually a decor item, an outdoor decor item. I mean, people spend all kinds of money on the outsides of their home, from their beautiful rain gutters to the pots that hold their garden hose. I mean, you see it all. So we approached it that way, and then went after the online people, because we felt people that sell products for the home online are going to buy our mailboxes because there's really no risk. It's almost like having a consigned warehouse. They don't pay for anything until they sell it. We drop ship it. We do the fulfillment. It makes it really easy. We also went to market with really, really nice lifestyle photographs, so people would feel like when they're shopping online that they're looking through a beautiful catalog. So we approached it, again, as a lifestyle, attractive, curb appeal item, and I do think good design and quality and price. Price is important. Nobody wants to spend $500 on a mailbox, but they'll spend $100 if it's going to give them peace of mind that, let's say they're ordering pharmaceuticals, through mail order. When they get home, their blood pressure medication is going to be in their Oasis Junior locking mailbox because it's locked. So those are the types of things, as mail has evolved and changed, that we addressed, and I think that's what's been our success.
Now, let's start talking about how you develop this as far as from the product standpoint. In other words, when you had this idea for this company, okay, and you thought you had a need, you were kind of maybe ahead of your time on one of the needs, and then you kind of adapted to that, as we talked about with, I think you mentioned as the elephant trunk model, if you will. But how did you actually go in and say, okay, you know what, here's some styles, we need a designer for this? Did you design these yourself? Did you hire somebody? And then did you hire the manufacturer? Do you do this in-house? How did you put all these pieces together?
Okay, that's where my husband came in. My husband was a product developer for a sporting goods company early in his career, and then went to one of the largest toy companies in the world. So the joke is the manufacturer that he worked for in his early career made baseball bats. So the joke in our family and amongst our friends is that the guy who designed baseball bats that destroyed all these mailboxes is now designing mailboxes to prevent the destruction. So Chris,
I knew that story fit in there somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. It made sense. But it is ironic, isn't it? So he came up with a few designs. We, in his career, he'd spent a lot of time working with contract manufacturers, and we started the company by using contract manufacturers and showing them the products and giving them our drawings and having them produce prototypes. And from the prototypes, you just refine the design, and then you get a production unit out of it and present it to retailers and or consumers. Some of the stuff we don't have a retailer for that we sell through independent retailers, people that own kitchen and bath showrooms or decorative hardware showrooms or garden centers or fireplace and barbecue stores. They all carry all sorts of different things to supplement. People that sell fireplaces have nothing to sell in the summer, so now they sell barbecues and mailboxes. So that's pretty much basically how we started. I mean, we design products, follow the trends, stay abreast of what the hardware trends are, what the finishes are. Satin nickel's huge. I mean, that's a finish that when we started this company, we were started out with polished brass because people love that. So it all changes, and you have to roll with the changes.
Absolutely. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a short break on the American Business Person. When we come back, I want to dive into some of these entrepreneurial topics. In other words, like you said, overcoming the adversity, kind of changing with the times, if you will. Just certain key points that, any basic entrepreneur or, somebody who's been doing this for years or somebody trying to start a business, kind of needs to take away from. And this is just a perfect example. Like I said, your product is so niche, and you said it yourself, it's kind of a relatively small industry, but interesting enough, I mean, it's still $1 billion, you say under $1 billion, but kind of approaching that $1 billion mark, and there's only a few players involved. So there's some good activity, for the handful of people that are doing this. And I want to kind of break that apart when we come back on the next segment. So stay tuned on the American Business Person. In the meantime, you can go to architecturalmailboxes.com and check out Vanessa's products. It's really cool. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post on our wall your thoughts about our shows and network. Visit Facebook.com/Voice America.
The American Business Person Show, the official sponsor of Making Dreams Come True. The American Business Person is designed to engage, educate, promote success, and move people into action. It outlines possibilities and tactics that will help prevail people to make their American dream come true. Contact Rich at theamericanbusinessperson.com for a free consultation to discover how to make your business goals a reality. Join in live every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Business Channel or on demand 24/7 at theamericanbusinessperson.com.
It's Roosevelt University's MBA, where all great minds don't think alike, where divergent viewpoints converge and opinions intersect, where every point has a counterpoint and every yes a but, because critical thinking is essential in business, and the boardroom is no place for sheep. Roosevelt's Heller College of Business MBA is affordable, personal, and, with night and weekend classes in Chicago, Schaumburg, and online, works around your work schedule. Apply at roosevelt.edu/MBA.
From the boardroom to you, Voice America Business Network.
You are tuned in to the American Business Person radio program with Rich Killian. Be sure to check out our website at americanbusinessperson.com. Now, back to this week's show.
And welcome back to the American Business Person, your host, Rich Killian, and special guest this afternoon is Vanessa Troyer, and again, CEO and founder of Architectural Mailboxes, which I think is just really cool because, like I said, this is such a niche product, and one of those things you certainly don't think about every day, but yet you use it every day. It's, you know, you go get your mail every day type thing, and you go drop mail off. But you know, that's such a niche product. I really commend you for this because, like I said, it's kind of a relatively big business numbers-wise when you say there's about $1 billion a year spent on mailboxes. So how do you go about marketing your product? And you know, I guess every homeowner could be your target market, but how do you handle that?
Absolutely. Well, we focus on the market that is available to us. With mailboxes, there are single family, which is what we produce, and there are multifamily. Let's say you're living in a community where they'll have one post with 16 mailboxes on it because that's what the post office requires for that delivery route. So in newer homes, you may not find a single-family mailbox. You might find 3 on a post or 4 on a post, and that's where we would come in and be able to service them. But we can't service them if they're doing 16 on one post because that's a little bit different of a product than what we have. So we focus on the retailers that are servicing home improvement and people that want to upgrade the appearance of their home. Now, ironically, during this entire downturn of the housing market, one of the things people did do is instead of buying and moving up, is they're now settling down and staying in the homes that they purchase, those that are able to stay in that home. And they're spending money on their existing home. And oftentimes, I don't know how many times I've been to a home where the whole front yard has been landscaped, and let's say they moved into a newer home where the back hasn't been touched yet. But they always want the front of the house, the appearance to look nice. So you can really very inexpensively fix up your front entry by painting your front door, adding new house numbers, which we make, by the way, and a new mailbox, perhaps a new light, some door hardware. Add some flowers to your parkway as you enter, so people can when they start painting their house, all of a sudden they'll look at their mailbox, and that's when I think they'll say, "Oh, geez, we need to replace that. It doesn't even match the door hardware we just bought, or the house numbers we got, or the rain gutters, or you know what I'm saying?"
Sure.
I think it's kind of one of those things. It's not necessarily an impulse buy, but it's kind of one of those progressive buys where I think they are starting to work on their home, and they're like, "We really need a new mailbox," or they pull a magazine out and the cover gets ripped off because the mailbox is too small for the large magazine. Things like that, I think, is what prompts people to buy mailboxes.
Yeah, now, that's interesting, and it's more B2C. Now, how do you do B2B in your industry? In other words, how are you getting to, I noticed you're on Amazon, you got them to carry your products, you see some of the other retailers. What is the strategy there for that business owner trying to get into retail?
Well, Amazon's actually a great story. It was such a no-brainer. We needed to be on Amazon when we first started this company because we came out with a locking curbside mailbox that could receive small parcels. And at that time, Amazon was shipping almost exclusively. Their books were being shipped USPS. So it wasn't coming from FedEx or UPS, which, by the way, cannot deliver to a USPS-approved mailbox. Only the post office can. And so we focused on Amazon, but we couldn't find a buyer. We couldn't find a corporate number. We couldn't reach them. The only thing I knew about Amazon was that the owner's and founder's name was Jeff Bezos. So I started searching on Google. On the 58th page of Google, someone had posted on a site that said something like, trying to find Jeff Bezos? Well, here is his office number. So I called the number, and I asked if this was Jeff's office. They said yes. I said, okay, great. I'm sending him a birthday gift. Can I get the address? Now, I had no idea when his birthday was. I didn't even know what I was going to say when I called. All I knew is that I had to get this product in front of him. So the man reciprocated by giving me his business address. So we shipped him an Oasis Junior, and with the mailbox, we created a 3-point PowerPoint presentation. And basically the first page was a picture of the bread lines from the Depression. It was a black and white picture. But you know when you go to an amusement park and they'll have signs above you, they'll say 45 minutes from this point, 2 hours from this point?
Sure.
We added that to the PowerPoint page, and it said Amazon customers waiting in line for their books. And we put 1 hour, 2 hour. The next page was the solution to that, was the Oasis Junior. And then the third page was basically giving him more product detail. Well, we fired that off, overnighted it to him. The outside of the box said, Happy Birthday, Jeff. 2 days later, we get a phone call from Amazon. They wanted to carry our entire product line. So, I mean, you know what? We thought, what do we got invested? We're sending him a $100 mailbox. We've got $100 in. What can we get in return for that? Well, a lot.
Nice. And that goes back to the, persistence, being the entrepreneur, the creativeness that you have. Share that. I mean, how important is it to be kind of that first impression? I mean, the mailbox, like you said, is kind of the first thing. If you have a standard mailbox in front of your house with a house of that, nature, it's like one of the first things you see. So you're almost creating that first impression. So, explain to our business owners out there, the whole point of a first impression. I mean, you gave a great example, but why is that so powerful?
Well, it showed Jeff, or whoever saw it in his office, hopefully him, that we cared enough to be creative. It was an inexpensive, creative approach, and we sent him a great product. And it made sense. We gave him a solution to books that weren't getting picked up at the post office, that were getting returned. That year alone, the post office had 2.1 million parcels returned to sender. So Amazon was a big part of that. They were a very big part of that number, I am certain. So we knew it was a problem, and we got creative with our presentation. But you need to put some thought into it. Don't send them a monologue, a giant book, 10 pages, 100 pages. Keep it short, keep it brief, get straight to the point, be funny, add humor. Everybody likes humor. So that's been our approach. And also remember, all they can say is no. We could have sent that and never, ever heard another word. We would have just kept plugging away trying to figure out who the buyer for mailboxes was. And I believe that was actually on one of the slides, is we have no idea who your mailbox buyer is, but we know who you are. And I think that's what
it makes sense.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the drive. I love with that. Now, give us, we got we got 2 minutes left here. If you can, Vanessa, please give us, our listeners, a little bit, let's start with one of your best stories as far as success. I mean, what would you have advice-wise out there for somebody, if you can give them one piece of advice towards their success in their business, what would that be?
Stay the course by being committed to your core principles and objectives. When you started your company, what did you want to accomplish? What did you want to achieve? Be flexible, but don't compromise. For instance, many people came to us and said, we like this product, but we could never sell a $100 mailbox. We'd like it to be $25 because, we sell $10 and $15 ones. Make it out of a thinner gauge. Well, doing all of that would have really, we would have had a product that was not any better than what was already on the shelf, and we weren't going to do it. What we did is we committed to, I'll tell you the story, it was Home Depot. We went to them, we chased them for 2 years with our lock-in curbside box, and they said, we have never sold a mailbox for $100. It's never been on our shelf. It'll never sell. We begged. We said, listen, let us have a 50-store test. We'll pick the stores. If it doesn't sell, we'll buy it back. But because we knew it would sell, and I'll tell you why we knew it would sell. Because we were selling that product on Amazon, and we knew where we were shipping. So we picked the best stores. About a month into it, we were already in discussions of the 900-store expansion for that product. So it's one of those things where we stayed committed. We didn't back down. The buyer was blown away that he could sell a $100 mailbox. Well, that mailbox is on the shelf in every Lowe's and every Home Depot to this day. It's the number one selling locking mailbox in the United States. So stay committed and be flexible, be understanding, and listen to your customer. What are your customers' needs? Not what are your needs. Hear them out. Ask them what they want. Sometimes we'll say to our buyers, give us a price point that you're trying to target, and what are the features that you need this product to have, and then you back into it, as opposed to trying to assume you know everything, because they have hard data. They know exactly what sells in what market, in what color, in what size, and the frequency of it. So be a good listener. But at the same time, if you can't, and it's hard to do this, but if they come to you and say, I need a $5 mailbox or a $5 product or a $10, and you know that you can't provide that and maintain your quality and your good design, then you might just have to pass on that if that's not your core principles.
Exactly. So stay true to your course. And we have about 1 more minute left. What could you give? Anything to stay away from? Any kind of a failure you might have had in your business? Something like that you could share with the listeners? Trust your gut. And what I mean by that is you know what's best for your company. Oftentimes people will come in and approach you, they're consultants. They want to do this, they want to do that, or they're a rep, and they want to rep your products, but they want you to give them all your accounts after 1 month, and then they do nothing but collect your percentage from your sales that you've already worked for. So try and do things yourself. Educate yourself, because you can't really hire a consultant unless you know what they're really going to be doing, because you don't even know what to ask. So educate yourself. And today online, there is everything online about business. You could practically develop a business degree online, if you really wanted to. But just learn the products, learn what you're going to be doing, make sure you watch your numbers, make sure you know how to read a profit and loss statement, make sure you know how to do a business plan, and look for your return on investment and focus on the items that are making you money, and discard and retire those products or designs or whatever it is that aren't making you money. You're going to work just as hard for the ones that are successful and those that aren't. Exactly. So spend your resources wisely, of course. Yep. Well, Vanessa, again, you've been a great guest. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your insight. And I really appreciate the fact that you're going after such a niche market that would scare a lot of people off. I mean, to me, that's awesome.
Thank you. It was very enjoyable, Rich. Thank you for including me.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Thanks again. For listeners out there, again, architecturalmailboxes.com. Vanessa, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And stay tuned for Timur Halligan and Legal Shield after these messages.
Stay connected. Sign up for our newsletter. Go beyond your favorite Voice America shows. Visit iradioblog.com.
The American Business Person Show, the official sponsor of Making Dreams Come True. The American Business Person is designed to engage, educate, promote success, and move people into action. It outlines possibilities and tactics that will help prevail people to make their American dream come true. Contact Rich at theamericanbusinessperson.com for a free consultation to discover how to make your business goals a reality. Join in live every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Business Channel, or on demand 24/7 at theamericanbusinessperson.com.
It's the MBA.
Great question, Jamie.
Minus the anonymity. The Roosevelt University Heller College of Business MBA, with classes in Chicago, Schaumburg, and online. Study business where it's personal. Apply at roosevelt.edu/MBA.
Let's talk. As in really talk. Not about the weather or the White Sox or the Real Housewives of wherever, but about big issues like bioethics, the housing bubble, and No Child Left Behind. Let's talk, not just about what we know, but about what we can learn, with people of all points of view, in the classrooms and lecture halls of a place where everything is open for discussion. A place, to be exact, like Roosevelt University. Learn more at roosevelt.edu/speakyourmind.
Voice America Business Network, the bottom line in business.
You You are tuned in to the American Business Person radio program with Rich Killian. Be sure to check out our website at AmericanBusinessPerson.com. Now, back to this week's show.
We are back on the American Business Person with today's this afternoon's special guest. In the studios with us today, Timur Halligan. And again, Timur is one of the executive directors for a company called Legal Shield. And we're going to talk about this, which is kind of a huge thing. After I heard about this, after he briefed me on this, amazing product for the money that you pay. It's just really phenomenal. So we're going to talk about that here in a second with Timur. Timur, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, Timur, let's describe for our audience kind of a little bit about your background, who it is you are. I mean, through the intro, they'll know who you are. But give us your background. Give us your start.
Yeah. First of all, my name is Timur Halligan, and thanks so much for having me on the show today. And my background is really that of professional tennis player. When I finished college, which I went to Northern Illinois University, went out and played professional tennis. Finished playing on the professional tour and actually got involved in coaching tennis. And in doing so, I had the opportunity to help hundreds of children be able to get college scholarships as well as, play on the professional tour. And when I was doing that, I really realized that I loved coaching, but I also realized that I wanted to utilize my business savvy and started bringing coaching into the world of business.
Which is interesting. So how did you get involved? Okay, let's take us back to kind of your early entrepreneurs. I know you own a couple companies, and you're the executive director, one of the executive directors for Legal Shield, which is a huge company. How did that all start? How did your business mind start back in the day?
Well, what happened is I was coaching tennis. I was working for a company which owns the world's largest tennis club, which is located in downtown Chicago. And through coaching, started to establish really good players. And, then I started to get involved in the operation side of running clubs and eventually said, okay, we want you to come run the world's largest club in downtown Chicago, and went and ran that club. And after doing that, realized that if I could run the world's largest club, the most profitable club, then I can go out and do it on my own. So I began consulting and did that for several years before coming across Legal Shield.
All right, so take us back. And I think you've been with Legal Shield now for about 10 years?
About 7.
About 7 years? So how did this come about? And we'll get into what Legal Shield is in a minute and why it's very important for business owners and kind of what it is you do. But how did you come across this?
Well, the true story is that I received a gift certificate to go skydiving for my birthday.
Okay.
And I knew I needed to get a will prepared because I didn't have a will. I figured if I'm going to jump out of an airplane, I better make sure I've got life insurance and I better make sure I have a will prepared. And a gentleman introduced me to Legal Shield, and I took a look at the product. I took a look at the service. I utilized it, and 7 years later, I'm here today.
Interesting. So you bought it for yourself. You saw the value in this. So define what Legal Shield is, because there's a lot of listeners out there that might not know exactly what this product is.
What Legal Shield is Legal Shield gives business owners as well as families and individuals the ability to speak to an attorney without worrying about the high hourly cost.
Okay, so let's break that down. High hourly cost. I mean, I know attorneys out there that range, $200 to $700 an hour. So how is this different? And, is it one of those you get what you pay for type things? Because that might be the fear of this. So what kind of overcome that?
Well, first and foremost, Legal Shield's been around for over 40 years. We currently serve about 1.5 million clients. And when you hear the services that we provide, it is a typical question, what type of attorneys work with you? And so what I have the pride in saying is that we work with the finest law firms across the country, all of which are AV-rated law firms, meaning that they hold the highest rating by Martindale-Hubbell in their profession. And on average, the attorneys have 19 years of experience, and we've got over 1,100 attorneys that work in our primary law firms to serve our members. And so that's what we've got as far as the quality of folks, and then they're the ones that deliver the services.
Okay, good. So, all right, let's start going into these services and why this is important, especially for business owners. I mean, tell me your typical business owner. I know you've got some statistics on what maybe the average court case would cost if you're in business, how much attorneys might, how much you might spend as a business owner on attorneys during the year, if you will. What's the difference here?
Well, here's the difference is that our members, our clients, spend a flat monthly fee. And because of the buying power of 1.5 million clients, we're able to pay our law firms in excess of $130 million a year. And that savings through bulk and volume is passed on to all of our business owners. You know, as a business owner, and I'm sure you can appreciate this, Richard, to effectively run your business, you've got to have good quality representation. And the problem is that most small business owners, particularly those that are in startup mode, and even once they get out of startup mode, they like to make decisions that they believe are logical because they just don't want to pick up the phone and have to pay their attorney. Even though attorneys are extremely valuable, they're necessary. And so our business owners have the ability to pick up the phone and call their law firms for any situation whatsoever and never receive a bill from them. If they need to have letters and phone calls made on their behalf, they simply contact their law firm. That law firm is going to draft that letter for them as part of the services we provide. We understand that business owners, to stay afloat, they've got to make sure that they keep their accounts receivable down. And one of the things that we do for all of our business owners is write complimentary debt collection letters for them, review contracts for them, cover them if they get sued.
Okay. I mean, pretty, when we say basic stuff, I mean, this is all the stuff that we might encounter as a business owner. So let's talk about, because a lot of our listeners out there are people who are looking to start a business, not just people who already own businesses. I mean, that's a majority of our listeners, but the people looking to start a new business. How does this help them? Why should they start off with a product like this?
Well, first and foremost, from the cost efficiency of it. When you're starting a new business, one of the first things you want to understand is, what kind of corporation do you want to be? Do I want to be an S Corp? Do I want to be an LLC? Do I want to be an LLP? What's best for my kind of business? And guess what? We give you the ability to call one law firm. And you're able to call that one law firm and you can ask them, what kind of company should I start? Now you go into, okay, I'm going to go find a location on where I'm going to be. You can send all your contracts and documents and potential leases to one particular place. You want to come up with a name for your business. You want to find out what it takes to trademark or copyright or whatever the case may be. You go to one law firm to take care of it for you.
And that's interesting because I do remember a person I helped consult. This is about a year ago or so. I remember her sending me a bunch of information because she found out who I was and she says, hey, you know a lot about business. Can you help me here? Because I actually had an attorney, and I'm not an attorney, but I actually had an attorney. This is this girl saying this. Who started up an LLC for me, charged me $2,500 to kind of get my business and stuff going. And right now I'm nowhere. I still haven't made it past that one step because he says I'm missing something here. But I've already spent $2,500 on a retainer with this guy, and I didn't have such a good experience. In fact, my business is not even fully incorporated. It was an LLC, so it's not organized in that respect. And she spent $2,500. So how could something like your product out there help somebody in that situation?
Well, number one, it sounds like the person didn't complete the task at hand. And, the accountability for our law firms is something that's just unheard of in the legal profession because, we have the ability, because we pay them $130 million a year, to renew their contracts every 60 days and make sure that the number one priority is our client's satisfaction. And so we have things in place where we give them substantial discounts, let's say if they're going to do the LLC or the LLP or the S Corp, but it's really the accountability of our law firms. I mean, we are truly changing the delivery of legal services to small business owners across North America.
Now, we haven't touched on this yet, but what is something like this go for? I mean, it sounds like you got a lot of great things, and I could just pick up a phone and start making phone calls here. And like the poor girl who, I tried to help last year, who came to me kind of a little bit too late, said I already spent $2,500, and that was with one attorney who didn't even really kind of get me to where I needed to be. How does something like this, what would her bottom line have been versus where she's at?
Well, here's the beautiful thing about what we do is that things are done on an unlimited basis. So a brand new self-employed business owner is going to pay about $49 a month. And that $49 a month not only covers his business, but it covers him from a personal perspective as well. And then it kind of goes up based on the number of employees you have. So anywhere between $49 a month and $125 a month for larger corporations. But as I said, we're changing the delivery of a system that's, I don't want to say it's been broken, but people have just become priced out of really what's the most exclusive country club in the United States, which is access to quality representation. And we do it at a price that people can afford. And they do it on a month-to-month basis with us so that they've got the ability to kick the tires and see how we really change the way they run their business.
Interesting. You know what, Timmer, we're going to take a short break on the American Business Person. Got to break for a commercial. But when we return, I want to obviously talk more about this, kind of the different plans that are available out there. And, I mean, I just think this is a phenomenal product. And, you know, that's what I'm saying. I have a lot of attorneys for all the different companies that I have, and I spend so much money every year, you know, on legal fees and stuff like that, just in general maintenance of stuff, you know, renewing licenses, renewing contracts, things like that for review. But, man, this sounds like a product that, wow, if I would have known about this 13 years ago when I started, I could have probably saved a lot of money, but I want to dig into why and, you know, and again, how much representation do you really get for this? Because I'm sure people are out there listening right now saying, okay, $49 a month, what's that going to really get me? I mean, again, that get what you pay for thing, but we'll take those concerns when we get back. We're going to take a break on the American Business Person. Stay tuned.
Out what's happening on the Voice America Talk Radio Network by keeping up with us on Twitter. You can find us at Voice America TRN.
The American Business Person Show, the official sponsor of Making Dreams Come True. The American Business Person is designed to engage, educate, promote success, and move people into action. It outlines possibilities and tactics that will help prevail people to make their American dream come true. Contact Rich at theamericanbusinessperson.com for a free consultation to discover how to make your business goals a reality. Join in live every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Business Channel or on demand 24/7 at theamericanbusinessperson.com.
It's the MBA without the sticker shock. The Roosevelt University Heller College of Business MBA in Chicago, Schaumburg, and online. Classes available at night, on weekends, and within your budget. Apply today at roosevelt.edu/MBA.
The business community's first choice in Internet Talk Radio. Voice America Business Network.
You are tuned in to the American Business Person radio program with Rich Killian. Be sure to check out our website at AmericanBusinessPerson.com. Now, back to this week's show.
And welcome back to the American Business Person, your host, Rich Killian. And today's special guest is Timmer Halligan, again, a executive director for Legal Shield, and you can find them at LegalShield.com. And we just kind of talked last segment about what Legal Shield is, why it seems very effective. And I want you to really go in, Timmer, with why it's so effective. I mean, convince our audience why any business owner out there is kind of crazy not to have some legal representation. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory when you think about, hey, have my attorney deal with it, but most people don't have that attorney. You know, they say they talk to my attorney. Well, if you're just starting off in business, or even if you've been in business for 5-10 years, most people don't just have a team of attorneys at their disposal. But it sounds like this product you do. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. And what's great about what we do is when you talk about the services we provide, we don't really need to convince anybody. We educate. And the great thing about business owners, and it's the great thing about this country we live in, is you've got the ability to build whatever you want to build. But we give you the opportunity to protect what you build. And so from the initiation of concept to all the way to the point where you're going to sell that business and everywhere in between, we give our clients the ability to pick up the phone and call their attorneys for any situation. They're all hiring employees. They've got equipment leases. They've got maybe joint ventures, city zoning issues, small claims situations, terminating employees. They may have some customer complaints they need to take care of. Well, guess what? You can pick up the phone and call your attorney for any situation whatsoever and never get a bill. And then guess what? If you need a letter written on your behalf to any third party, your law firm is going to draft that letter for you. And believe me, business owners all understand that a letter from an attorney is far more significant than a letter from you or I. So we're going to make sure they get those letters written on their behalf. We're going to make sure that if they've got money that's owed to the business, that we're going to write a letter on their behalf. And we're not going to be a collection agency. We're not going to keep part of it. We know that if we can keep our business owners in business, they're going to stay with us. They all sign contracts and documents. And for the most part, they're not quite sure what they're signing. They assume that it's all in good faith, but realize that contracts are written by attorneys for the company that you're entering into the contract with. And so we're going to review those for all of our clients and make sure they're signing what's to their advantage. Plus, make sure if they get sued, we're there to cover them. I mean, just think about it. As a small business owner, if you got sued today, what do you got set aside in your legal defense fund? Well, we're going to make sure you got 75 hours set aside each and every year just in case.
So that's interesting. So, I mean, if you do the math on that, you're paying your, say, average attorney, $250? You've got 70 plus hours on this thing, 75. I mean, you got 20 grand kind of sitting in reserve in a legal fund if you need it. And that's almost like the protection part. Now, that's the defense we talk about. Now, what about if you have to be proactive?
Well, let's say that I'm going to go out and I'm going to sue somebody. A lot of times a letter made, a phone call made can better the outcome of a situation. But if you have to go to court, the great thing about it is that when you utilize the services that we provide, first and foremost, your law firm is going to tell you if you really got a lawsuit. They're going to tell you if it's really worth going after it or not. They're not going to get you into the process and say, hey, we realize that we're not going to be able to go any further. Go ahead and pay us the money you've already paid us. First of all, they're going to tell you if you got a leg to stand on. And then you're going to fall into a 25% discount off all the legal services. So if you do have to go after somebody, you do have to sue somebody, they're there to do it for you, but at a substantial discount.
Gotcha. So then what? And that's what I'm trying to get. So what actually is covered with your $49 a month, let's say?
So, for example, again, unlimited consultations. You could call your attorneys 300 times a year. You could call your attorneys 3 times a year. You could talk to them for 5 minutes at a time. You could talk to them for 30 minutes at a time. Whatever it takes for you to get the answers that you need to have, our attorneys are paid in advance. That's the thing about what we do. They are paid in advance, not there to bill you, but to advise you. So with that, as I said, unlimited consultations, unlimited in scope for anything that I need to speak to my law firms about, having letters written on my behalf, unlimited in scope. So if I need letters, they're going to do that for me.
And pretty much, when you say unlimited in scope, every discipline of law, if you will.
Correct. Our law firms are well versed in all 26 areas of law. They are full service law firms for our clients.
Okay, so I mean, if you've got a employee situation, you've got an HR attorney specific for that need. If you've got a contract litigation you got to go through or whatever, you've got an attorney that's in contract law, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Okay, for business. Now, I know the business plan because I'm reading, and you brought a ton of stuff in, so I really appreciate this on all the literature that you have. And by the way, again, people can check out LegalShield.com to check this out too. But there's other things that are included with the business plan too, which is this small business back office, if you will.
Yeah, actually what we did is about 10 years ago, we partnered with a company called Go Small Biz. Go Small Biz is owned by Fran Tarkington, Hall of Fame quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. And his career after the NFL was a much more successful career, and he became just an amazing entrepreneur. And he realized that in addition to legal situations that small business owners need to have access to somebody being able to advise them, there's also things such as advertising and marketing and technology and accounting and insurance questions they may have. And so he started Go Small Biz, which really acts as a consulting firm for all of our small business owners. So, for example, you just open up a brand new business. You're not quite sure what a good marketing plan would be. Let's say I'm a landscaper. I'm not quite sure how to get my name out. Well, guess what? I can go to Go Small Biz, speak to a consultant who can give me the advice on what may be the best form of marketing for me to get my business launched.
Interesting. So you almost have like a back office of marketing specialist to help you start off your new business, or if you're already in business, maybe you want to promote a new product. You can get kind of consulting, and this is all part of the $49.
Correct. For that particular plan, and we're talking about the legal plan for the self-employed. It's $49 a month, and they've got full access to the legal side of what we do, as well as the ability to use the consulting firm of Go Small Biz to help them make good decisions and get more profitable quicker.
Interesting. So how did a company, you said it's been around for 40 years. I mean, how did something like this even start? How did, this is totally outside of the box as far as traditional, practice of law with, you go to your attorney, you got your one family attorney that you've used for so many years, blah, blah, blah. How did this concept originate?
Well, it started in 1972 with a traffic accident. Our former chairman of the board and CEO, Mr. Harlan C. Stonecipher, was in a car accident. He had sold insurance. That's what he did. He had health insurance for recovering from the accident. He had car insurance to be able to fix his car. He had life insurance in case he passed away. But when he got sued for the accident, even though he didn't receive the ticket, what cost him $3,000 back in 1972 pretty much devastated the family. And he did some research. He went over to Europe and found that 80% of Europeans had already been using legal service plans for many, many years. And when he started the company in 1972, we think about any industry that's out there. When something becomes unaffordable for the masses, an industry is created. When it became unaffordable to be able to go to the doctor and pay for that doctor's fees, what was created? Health insurance. Unaffordable to fix your car after an accident, car insurance. And so on in that world of insurance. And, we are an insurance product in many states. And so we were formed out of an accident. And since that time, we did about $500 million in revenue last year. We cover about 1.5 million clients with the services that we provide. About 50,000 business owners that have the business plan I'm sharing with you right now. And 37,000 other companies that offer our services from a personal perspective as an employee benefit.
Interesting. So talk about that for a couple of seconds. You can offer this as an employee benefit. What do you mean by that?
Well, we actually have a plan also outside of just for the business. It's really to protect families. And we really do a couple different things in that regard. We can either offer it as an employee benefit or a family can pick up the services. And it gives you personally the ability to pick up the phone and call an attorney for any situation. Because not everything runs just in your business. You've got personal liability as well. So unlimited in scope, personal consultations, letters written, documents reviewed. We fill a void that 70% of Americans don't take care of, and that's making sure their last will and testament is put together, plus a whole lot of other things that go along with the program. But we also cover families and individuals.
Even on the business plan, that kind of encompasses that as well, correct?
Yes. For that legal plan for the self-employed, it actually covers your entire family from a legal perspective as well as your business.
Wow. So, this just sounds like a great product. Now, what is you had mentioned in some of the literature here that I'm reading, about 2% market share or 2% of the population has this?
Yeah, Legal Shield has got about 2% penetration. As we said, we cover about 1.5 million families and business owners and employee groups, which is just scratching the scratch of all those folks that are out there that need our product. And the problem is that, and it's not a problem, it just is a reality, is most folks don't know we exist. And so as people come across our services, as business owners, day after day I hear, gosh, I wish I'd have known you guys existed. And back in July of 2011, we were purchased by a private equity firm out of New York, Mid-Ocean Partners, who really saw the value proposition of what we offer and actually went out and spent $650 million for our company and has made a commitment to get it out there to the marketplace so people know we exist.
Interesting. Well, Timmer, we're almost out of time. I noticed you said you had you wanted to give something out special, say, for the listeners of the show.
Well, yeah, one of the things I'd like to do is, we always like to just get additional information in the hands of business owners. And, Rich, as you and I had talked about, I'd like to put together a special raffle for all those that simply email you to your email address, and they email you by next Wednesday's show, the start. We'll put them all into a raffle, and we'll send them off a real nice gift. So maybe you want to give them your email address?
Sure. And you can just email to the show, info@americanbusinessperson.com for those listening out there. And again, just info@americanbusinessperson.com, and we'll get you out some literature on this stuff. Because like I said, I think this is a really, really great product for business owners out there. And like I said, we got a lot of business owners. Over 250,000 have downloaded the show. And this is just huge. Like I said, I didn't even know about this, until I met you through somebody else, at our office, and I said, "Wow, this is actually a pretty cool product." So that's pretty much all the time we have. But Timmer, again, I really appreciate you being on the show. I really appreciate you sharing this idea, this plan that's out there for our business owners out there, because this is really an amazing product. And appreciate your time being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, again, so Timmer Halligan of Legal Shield, a really wonderful guest, amazing product. And you know what? Shoot me an email, info@americanbusinessperson.com, if you want more information on this, or to enter the little drawing that he offered, which was actually kind of him to do. We'll try to get everybody rounded up by next week, this time next week. But again, this is something that you probably can't be without if you're a business owner. I really mean that, just because I know when I started my first business, many years ago, and, I made a lot of mistakes that I just didn't know better on what to do as far as legal. and I just couldn't pick up a phone and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Attorney, hey, charge me $200, $300, whatever it is, to answer a question. That's huge, guys. I'm telling you, it's really a big deal out there when you're, especially when you're just starting off. And even if you've been in business for 10 years, I mean, you always have to update your contracts. You have to update your employment agreements, things like that. And, if you're at the level where you have personal attorneys, for different departments of what you need, I actually do have that with all my different companies. And, and it's very expensive, but, a product like this is, it kind of takes care of a lot of that for you. And that's really interesting. So again, we appreciate Timur's time. Again, if you have any questions on that, info@americanbusinessperson.com, and we'd be happy to share that with you and send you more information out on this and enter you into that drawing. Earlier on the show, Vanessa Troyer, again, I really commend her and her husband's work. Great, just determination going out there and making a business happen that didn't have a huge market share, if you will. It's just a very niche product. There's only a few competitors, which I guess is a good thing on that. But again, usually when there's a lot of competition, that means there's a lot of business. So in this case, it really takes a true entrepreneur to kind of stand up and make that unique and make that happen and capitalize on a very, very small market. So again, Vanessa Troyer at architecturalmailboxes.com, and pretty cool products too if you check it out. So again, really great guest today. Thanks again for listening to The American Business Person. I'm your host, Rich Killian. And of course, our platinum sponsor is Prospect Equities, a full-service real estate brokerage and franchise system. Prospect Equities is the first national real estate brokerage of its kind and culture. Our experienced agents are extensively trained in the real estate trade, and our culture as business people helps our clients make better business decisions when it comes to buying their home or selling it. Prospect Equities offers the most timely buyer-seller customer strategy system available in practice today. So visit us online at prospectequities.com or toll free at 1-800-913-4110. Prospect Equities, experienced agents, infinite results. Don't forget to like our show on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can always post your comments to our blog on AmericanBusinessPerson.com or visit me at richkillian.com. I'm Rich Killian, and have a prosperous week.
Thank you again for listening to The American Business Person. Please join your host, Rich Killian, again next Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, and 3 p.m. Eastern Time for another show on the Voice America Business Channel. Have a great week, one that's hopefully filled with success.
It's the MBA that works weekends. The Roosevelt University Heller College of Business MBA, with Saturday classes available at our Schaumburg campus. For the MBA that works around your work schedule, apply at roosevelt.edu/MBA.
Thanks again for listening to the preceding program, brought to you on the Voice America Business Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericabusiness.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.